Hi there, thanks for spending a moment with me right here on the video version of the Norman Goldman Show. Let me spend a minute with you explaining what class actions are. Let's say you're a bank, a really large national bank with 20 million checking accounts amongst your customers. And you want to make a bunch of extra money because you're a bank and that's what you do. You say, okay, if I charge $2 a month to each of my checking account customers, I'll call it anything. I'll call it a check processing fee. I'll call it a check maintenance fee. I'll call it an account maintenance fee. They have people that dream up these names. But if I charge $2 a month to each of the 20 million customers that have checking accounts, that's $40 million a month. Now there's 12 months in a year, so that's $480 million a year. That is just shy of $500 million a year to a big national bank for not doing much. The idea is you're making a very small amount on a very large base of customers. However, what if I'm a bank that just started charging that $2 a month without giving anybody adequate notice? Without even putting in one of those little stuffers that you get in the envelope, without putting it on the website? What if I just popped up and started doing it, as banks have done? Well, that could very easily violate national banking regulations. It could violate state consumer protection laws. And there are some customers who notice this and they get angry. So they go to a lawyer. And the lawyer says, aha, we have a large group of people all doing business with one company, and they're each getting nicked just a little amount of money. $2 a month is $24 a year. No individual person is really going to sue for $24, right? Even a small claims court judge would say, come on, that's even too small for small claims court. Get real. The way class actions work is one or more members of the class step up, hire a lawyer. The lawyer files a lawsuit on behalf of this one or small group of people, and they go to court and they represent to the judge, to the court, that they are standing up for a whole class of people. Just because the lawyer initially calls it a class action does not declare it a class action. Only the judge can do that. Only a court can certify a class action. You need a large number of people, generally a few hundred or many thousands, minimum a few hundreds, who have been injured in an identical or very similar way. You need each person to have done business with the exact same defendant, which is why in a typical class action, you'll have a large group of people against one insurance company or one bank or one car dealer. It's generally a group of customers dealing with one business. And you need to have an illegal business practice. It's called unfair, deceptive, or illegal business practices. And you go through the litigation and the judge decides whether you have a proper class. And then the judge certifies a class action. Everybody gets a notice in the mail or by email, and then the case really gets set for trial. A lot of people are upset with class actions because they only get back $3 or $18 or something, and they don't understand that they've only been injured $3 or $18 or something. They don't understand that it's not about them getting rich off of a lawsuit, and they get angry, and I understand that. And I used to do class action lawsuits, so I understand. But the thing is, it's not to focus on the individual consumer who's only been nicked a little bit of money. You got to focus on the corporation, on the big business that took a small sum of money from a large group of people. What the class action does is reverse that process and says to that big corporation, you took small amounts of money from a large group of people. Guess what? We're going to reverse that. Now, one last note. The giant corporations that have been subject to these things figured out that they don't like getting sued in class action lawsuits because they'd rather just steal the money, lie, commit fraud, and keep the money. And they think it's a really bad idea to get sued by lawyers in class action lawsuits. So what they have done is they have stacked the courts with Republican judges and some Democratic judges who are very sympathetic to business. And the courts have become very hostile to class actions. And a lot of these corporations have put in these little tricky statements in their little stuffing little sheets of paper that they put into their cell phone bills or their phone company bills or their banking statements where they say, hey, guess what? By continuing to do business with us, you give up your right to do a class action. You can't sue us in a class action. You can't do anything on behalf of anyone else. If you've got a complaint with us, you've got to do it individually. And the courts, because the courts have been very politicized, have largely upheld these things, including the United States Supreme Court. So in class actions, there's been a real fight between the giant corporations that want to keep the money they steal and the lawyers who make a lot of fees by making the corporations give back the money. And the corporations have painted the lawyers as a bunch of criminals, saying that the lawyers are just doing this to shake down the corporations. And yes, the lawyers do make a lot of money, but they only get paid when they win. When a client comes with a potentially bad illegal business practice, that client's only lost $24 or something like that. The client doesn't have a lot of money to pay lawyers to handle litigation for years and do all of the expensive litigating and invest all that time. The lawyer does it on speculation. The lawyer does it hoping to get a payoff at the end. So the lawyer does it, win some, lose some, and the winners pay off big and the losers hurt real bad. I've won some and I've lost some, so believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Now that's stripping consumers of their rights in a very sneaky way. I don't like it, but this proves to you what I've been saying in other of these videos, and I say on the radio all the time. Politics is everything. These giant corporations understand that who controls the judges, who controls the judiciary, who stocks the court with politicians in robes who are called judges, that's really important. So if we had pro-consumer judges, class actions would still be around. They're still around, but they're not nearly what they used to be, and there's a lot of giant corporations getting away with a lot of financial criminality, and they're getting away with it because people have been stripped of their remedy. Now, pardon me for editorializing, but that's the bottom line, and that's the truth. I hope I've made you smarter faster, which is one of my objectives here on the video version of the Norman Goldman Show. Thanks for being with me, and we'll see you soon.